So in drop down you can show, if you want to show both with a hyphen and all, yes, we can show. I have shown with round brackets, I have shown with hyphen also. That is possible, but when you select, both of them will get selected. Okay.
Rizwan, I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so instead of the first one as a default value, can we select any other one and show it initially as per some with some condition or something?
Yes, yes, we can do that.
Okay.
We can do. I will show you. So in the drop down item, text is the display part, means the one that you want to display to the end user. Okay. So apart from the text UI element, there is also one more UI element, one more property called key. Okay. So what is key? Key is the one that we send to the backend actually. Key is something that we send to the backend, and this particular key plays a role for the selection by default selection as well. Okay. So generally, let me give one example to explain what is text and what is key, and what is the difference between both of them. Okay. So let us take an example. So you are showing a drop down with a country values, with the country values. Now there is a drop down items. So you have countries like this generally. So in every project we get the countries: India, for example, China, for example, United States of America. Now here, these are the text that appears on the drop down item. So that means this is text. Okay. But when we select some country, so generally to the backend, we don't send this entire value. We send something called country code, correct? So basically the country code is IND for India, for China maybe CHN or something, CH or something, for United States it's USA. So basically we send country code to the backend, correct? So the one that you are displaying to the end user, that is called display text. So which is nothing but this one, display text. And the one that you send it to the backend, that is called key. Okay. So in case of let's say you have this kind of country kind of drop down. Okay. So country, let's say there is a country table. There is a country table in the backend. So for this particular table, what you will create? You will create a separate entity called country. So when you create this country entity, obviously the CRUD queue operations gets generated for the country also. Now if I write select star from country table, so I will get both country and country code both into the front end. So what I will do is I will bind the country to the text and country code to the key. Got my point? Okay. So this particular key plays an important role while reading the value that you have selected from the drop down. So basically, the moment, for example, I click on a submit button. So when I click on submit button, I want to read the value from the drop down. At that time, we read the key, not the text. Okay. But sometimes key and text both can be same. For example, employee ID itself. Okay. So display text is also employee ID. And when you select some employee ID from the drop down, obviously the key also employee ID only. So there is no display text separately and the backend value separately. So we do not have two separate things, right? So similarly language. So if you take the language drop down here, so you have English, these are the display text. But do you know what it will send it to the backend? It sends this language code. So that is what exactly is the key property. So basically, but for some drop downs, the key and text can be same, both can be same. Okay, so just like in our case, the display text is also employee ID and the key also employee ID. Means when you select a value from the drop down, whatever the value that I need to read, it is also employee ID only. Okay, so that's a key. Key is employee ID. Now this particular key helps you in reading the value from the drop down, as well as the key helps you in setting some value as a default value as well. Okay, for example, so by the way, appearance wise there is no difference. One second. So core item, employee ID, EMP ID. Why this is not showing? So let me refresh. What happened to this suddenly? Any mistake that I have done? One second. Items, employee set, text, employee ID, key, employee ID, EMP ID. That is totally fine. I don't think there is any error here. Yeah, so it has come. Maybe refresh problem. Right. So the moment I select, for example, I selected 100002. Now I want to read the value from this drop down. So at that time, the key will help you. Okay. And by the way, for your question, like so by default 100001 is selected. So for example, 100003 should get selected. So at that time, there is a property called selected key. Okay, selected key, and if you give 100003 here, now 100003 will be selected by default. Wait, yeah, see 100003 has came by default. And so if you want to do this dynamically, so keep an ID for this. So ID equal to ID select box. So in the controller, from the controller, you need to use this dot get view by ID. So this is your ID dot use the setter method, that is set selected key, and within the round brackets if you give this, that's all. Okay, so if you want to do that dynamically from the controller, that is how you need to do. Okay, and this is statically from the view. Clear, Monica? Monica or
yes, Rizwan. Yes, Rizwan. I got it now. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. Now let us see the next one, combo box. So I'm copying the combination. So I'm combo box, combo box. And combo box. So let me display the name this time. All right. Format document. So now you'll find the difference between the select box and combo box. So there is no much difference between the select box and combo box. One second, I think I didn't change. Yeah. So there is no much difference between select box and combo box. You can see this is having select, this is having combo box. So that's all from the coding perspective. Now let us see from the output perspective. Yeah. So from this you can clearly understand the difference between select box and combo box. In the select box, the first value will be selected by default. Whereas in combo box, none of the value will be selected by default. See? So by default, it is not selecting any of these values. The second difference between the select box and combo box is combo box has a typing facility and filtering facility automatically. For example, I type B, automatically Anil and Amit has gone, only Babji has remained. So this particular facility is very much useful when you have more than 50 or 100 values in your dropdown. So the recommendation from SAP is if you have some 10 to 20 values, go for select box, and if you have more than that, go for combo box, because the combo box is giving you typing facility. So when you type, automatically the data gets filtered. For example, I type A. You can see Babji has gone. Only Amit and Anil are there. Now again, if I type N, Amit has gone and only Anil has left. Okay, so this facility is there in the combo box. So that is the reason in real time most of the people use combo box only. They don't use select box. Select box also we can use, but as SAP recommended. So if you have some 10 values or maximum 20 values, go for that. Okay, all right. So next one is multi-combo box. So that's all, no other difference. So in case of combo box, we need to give multi-combo box. Can you expect, what you can expect from multi-combo box? Anybody? Anyone? What you can expect from multi-combo box?
Multiple inputs?
Multiple selections. See, there is no difference between combo box and multi-combo box. In case of combo box, you can select only one value. But in case of multi-combo box, you can select multiple values like this. Okay. So that is multi-combo box. Right. The next one is radio button group. So this radio button group is slightly, the subpart name is slightly different. Radio button group. This is the name is radio button group. So the radio button group does not have a subpart called items. See, items means a drop-down items. For radio button group, how can we have drop-down items, right? So radio button group has a subpart called buttons. B-U-T-T-O-N-S, buttons. Okay, so you need to write the same subpart name here. And inside this subpart, inside this buttons subpart, radio button will go inside. See, the moment I give the arrow mark, so it is suggesting you need to write a radio button inside. So let me give the name as a radio button, or yeah, so let me keep that, no problem. Now let us see how it looks. So this is how the radio button group looks like. So Amit, Anil, Babji, so like this it is showing. So you can see radio buttons are arranged vertically down, and first radio button selected by default. Okay, so let us experiment with this radio button group. I hope you understand how this radio button group has formed. Same looping concept. The buttons subpart executed this binding. So this binding is pointing to 3 records. So it and the line number 35, the buttons tag act like a loop now. So it enters the loop and execute the line number 36, which is the first radio button with the name of the first iteration. So which is Amit. Again, the ending tag of the buttons executed, so it goes to the starting tag again. So since there are 2 more records, it enters the loop again and creates your second radio button and then third radio button. Okay, right. The radio button group has 2 properties. So one is all these 3 are arranged vertically down, but I want horizontally, then you can give columns equal to 3. So if you give columns equal to 3, automatically all these 3 will come horizontal. See, Anil, Amit and Babji. Okay. Now second thing is, by default, Amit is getting selected, and if you do not want Amit to be selected by default, you want all the radio buttons to be blank, means you don't want any of the radio buttons to be selected, then you need to give another property called selected index -1. Selected index -1 will make none of the radio buttons to be selected. Now let us see. None of the radio buttons got selected. Okay, so this is how the radio button group works. F4 help, we need a separate dedicated class to handle. So F4 help is not part of today's class, so don't worry. Now the next thing I'm going to show you is how can I read the values from these multi-value UI elements upon maybe submission. So let me take one submit button here. I will click the submit button. When I click the submit button, I want to read all the values that you have selected from all these multi-value UI elements. Okay, right. So let's go to the footer and create one submit button. So this is my footer. I'm creating a button UI element. What is this? This has auto completion is not working. So first I need to write content right, and then I need to write the button with a text equal to submit. And let me give type equal to emphasized, which is a blue color, and press equal to on press submit. Now let me copy the function into the controller. I think we already have on press submit, but let me remove this code. So this we have written for something else. All right. Now let's have a look at the output window, and then we'll get into the coding. All right. Now we have the submit button. So basically what I'm going to do now is when I click the submit button, I will read each and every value from each and every drop down item, each and every multi-value UI element. Okay. So for this, you need to go to the view and assign IDs for every UI element. So for select box, so give ID as ID select box, and for combo box, give the ID as ID combo box, or let's give simple IDs. Let's not give ID select box, ID combo box means CD, and multi combo box. So let's give ID as ID MCB multi combo box, and for the radio button group, let's give the ID as ID radio button group. Okay, so now I have provided the IDs for all of them. Now let us see how to read the values from these multi-value UI elements. If you remember, when we have the input fields, how we read the value from the input field? We read the value from the input field by using this dot get view by ID and its ID dot get value, right? So now let us see what is the functions for these multi-value UI elements. Okay, so variable select box value equals to, I will write this dot get view dot by ID of the select box dot, for the select box, if you want to get the selected value, so we need to say get selected key. Okay, so we need to read the key. So write get selected key. So whatever the value that you have selected from the drop down, So even the key is also binding to the same display text. See, the key is also pointing to employee ID. Text is also pointing to employee ID. So you will get the employee ID, whatever you have selected. If the same thing you take in a country example, text is pointing to country name, but the key is pointing to country code. So when you say get selected key, you will get the country code, not the name. And even we want the country code only, not the country name. Okay, right? So get selected key. Now let us see if the value is coming or not in the debug mode. For example, I selected 100002. Now I want to debug my code. You need to hit F12 from the keyboard, open your sources and keep the debug point in your whatever the line that you want to debug. Now let's click on the submit button. I clicked on the submit button. Execution has stopped at that line. Now I want to execute this line. So you can click this button and you can see the value is showing here. It is 100002. Alternatively, you can hover your mouse on the variable like that also you can see. Alternatively, you can copy the variable into the console area. So this is console area. Alternatively, you can keep the variable and enter here. So that also it will show the value. Okay, so three ways are there. So one is it displays the value directly here. Second one, keep the mouse on the variable. Third one, go to the console and paste the variable over there and you will get the value. Clear? Right. Now, same thing you need to do, repeat for all of them. So this is combo box value, this is multi-combo box value, and this is radio button group value. So change this one, ID CB equal to cb.getSelectedKey, and this is multi-combo box MCB. The multi-combo box has the function get selected keys, not key, get selected keys, because there are multiple values you can select from the combo box. Okay, so this function is different. This is get selected key, fine. This is also get selected key, fine. But for multi-combo box, it is get selected keys, plural keys. Okay, and for the radio button group, or the G, there is no get selected key concept. The function name is get selected index. So it gives you only the index, it won't give the value. So from the index, you need to write your logic, get selected index. Now let us see all these values from the debug mode. So for example, 100002, for example, Babji, for example, Anil and Babji, or Anil and Amit, and here again let me select Anil. Now let us see on click of the submit button. So debug point is already there. I clicked on submit button to read all these values from each of these UI elements. So you can see first one is coming 100002. Second one is Babji. Is the second one is Babji? Yes. Combo box value is Babji. Third one, so you can see Anil and Amit both are coming, MCB. So Anil and Amit both are coming. And last one, radio button group. The radio button group is giving 1. 1 means what? This is 0, this is 1. This is 0, this is 1. Okay. So remember, radio button group will not give the value, it gives only the index. And in real time, radio buttons we use maximum 3 to 4, not more than that. So basing on the index, you can write the condition. Like if index is 1, that means Anil, like that. Okay. Index is 0, that means Amit. Okay, right. So this is how you need to read the values from all these multi-value UI elements. Okay. There is one more way to read the values from these multi-value UI elements, not way, I can say scenario. The scenario is, at this moment we are reading all these values on click of the submit button. Let's say I want to read the value immediately. See, I selected 100003. Immediately I want to read what is this value he selected. Why you want to read immediately? Maybe because basing on this value I want to do something else. Maybe basing on this value I want to hide something, I want to disable something, or I want to basing on this value I want to load the other drop down. Okay, so in these kind of situations you want to read the value immediately. You can't wait till you click on the submit button. So how can I read the value immediately upon selection? So I selected 100002. Now immediately I want to read what this value end user has selected. So this is another scenario to read the values immediately. So how to do this? Code will not change. The code will be same. Means so to read the value from these multi-value UI elements, code is same. But what we do is selecting a value from the drop down is a action. Is this not an action? Yes, it's an action done by end user. So just like pressing a button is an action, right? So pressing a button is an action. So you assigned press equal to on press submit. So press is an action. So you assigned a function. So similarly, selecting a value from the drop down is also an action. So what we do, the action name for select box is change. Change means whenever you change the selection from the drop down. So whenever there is a change in the selection value, we can call the function on select from select box. Okay, so like this we can write a separate function, and this function get executed immediately. The function get executed immediately upon selection. And now I can keep the same statement here. Okay, so let me show in the debug mode again. So I'm keeping a debug point here. Now I will not click the submit button. I'm not going to click the submit button. I'm going to select 100002. Now selecting a value from this select box is an action. So for what is that action? The action name is change. Means whenever you change the value from the drop down. So what we are clearly telling, whenever you change the value from this select box, so call this function. So this function will be called. So since this function is called, and inside the function you are reading the value immediately. Okay, see, I'm selecting 100002. Immediately the function has called. The function has been called. And what are you doing inside? So inside you are reading the value. So reading the value statement will not change. That is same. Okay, the only thing is we assign the action so that it read immediately instead of waiting for submit button to be clicked. Now, same thing you can repeat for the other UI elements as well. So reading the value, selecting a value from the combo box. So from the combo box also selecting a value immediately. Selecting a value is an action, and the action name is selection change. Selection change, and you can write on select from combo box. Now copy this. A separate function, and this function is dedicated to read the value only from the combo box. So you can write like this. Okay, so this will read the value from the combo box immediately. So same thing for the multi-combo box, and that is this is selection finish. Once you finish your selection on select from MCB, so this now this function is dedicated only to read the value from the multi-combo box. And similarly for radio button group also there is a action that is select. Select means the moment you select a radio button, okay, on select from radio button group. The moment you select, immediately this. So the below four are the functions that get selected, that get executed immediately. So these four functions gives the values immediately upon selection, and the above one gives the values when you click on the submit button. That's all for today. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, you can leave for today. We'll meet in tomorrow's class with a continuation topic.